Good morning. Today we will be talking about Indian writing in English. This session is planned to be a basic introduction to the course Indian writing in English. To start with, we'll be looking at the influences that led to the flourishing of Indian writing in English. As we all know, it started with the British colonization of India. With the coming of English East India Company, the Britishers slowly started taking over the power and control of Indian administration. They introduced a lot of policies, out of which the most important one was Western education, introduced by Lord Macaulay. Lord Macaulay introduced Western education to create a group of interpreters, group of translators who would communicate between the British administrators and the local Indians. But the Western education had a great impact in the flourishing of Indian writing in English. Coming to Indian writing in English, the critic Srinivasa Iyengar categorizes it into two. One is the Anglo-Indian literature and the second one is Indo-Anglian literature. The Anglo-Indian literature can be defined as the literature inspired by the Indian motifs and Indian spirit, but written by the British people. We have, for example, William Jones, E.M. Forster, Rudyard Kipling, who all wrote based on the Indian themes, but they were written, but basically they were British people. In all of their writings, we can feel a sense of racial superiority. For example, it was Rudyard Kipling who said that it was the white man's burden to civilize the colonies. There you sense a feeling of racial superiority, where the Britishers felt that they were superior, racially and culturally superior than the colonies. That was the Anglo-Indian literature. The second one is the Indo-Anglian literature, which can be defined as the literature written about India or the literature which is based in India and written by the Indians, but in English language. Now, this term Indo-Anglian was a little problematic because of its colonial connotation. So Indians preferred the term Indian writing in English, and that's how Indo-Anglian literature turned to Indian writing in English. Again, Srinivasa Iyengar identifies two eras, two ages in Indian writing in English. The first one he calls the pre-independence era, and the second one is the post-independence era. The pre-independence era can again be divided into four ages, out of which the first age is called the Age of Great Pioneers. It starts from 1820 to 1870, and the main writers who wrote during this period were Ram Mohan Roy, Henry Desrosiers, Kashi Prasad Ghosh, Michael Madhusudan Dutt. All of them were Western educated. They had the education either from India or from Europe, but they were all Western educated. And a strong influence of Western literature can be seen in all of their writings. The second age is called the Age of Religious and Literary Awakening. It starts from 1870 to 1900. It is called the Age of Religious and Literary Awakening because this was the time when the ideologies or ideas of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and Vivekananda were spreading quickly, and that was having a great impact on the people. So this age is called the Age of Religious and Literary Awakening. Here again we find a strong influence of the English Romantics, and the writers greatly imitated their style and mode. The writers include Toru Dutt and her sister Aru Dutt, Both of them were Western educated. They were educated in Europe, and later they moved to London and they had their basic education in London, and later they came back to India. We have Ramesh Chandra Dutt, Ramakrishna Pillai, Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo was also educated in Europe, and he came back and started spreading the ideas of yoga. So all of these writers, you can see a great influence of the English Romantics and their style. The third age is called the age or era of political awakening. This was the time when nationalism as a movement was gaining hold in India. Now this age starts from 1900 and it goes on to 1920s. Some of the major writers who wrote profusely during this period include Rabindranath Tagore and Sarojini Naidu. We all might be familiar with these two names. The next age is called the era or the age of Gandhian Revolution, or in other words, the modern heroic age. This starts from 1920 to 1947 till the age of Indian independence. This was a time when journalism picked a pace, and the major writers during this time include K.S. Venkataramani, Mulk Raj Anand, R.K. Narayan, Raja Rao, Nehru, Gandhiji. Now this can also be seen as the age when novels started gaining prominence. Till now, if it was poetry and short story, this was the time when novels started gaining hold. And Mulk Raj Anand, R.K. Narayan and Raja Rao are known to be the trio of Indian novels. Moving on to the post-independence era, we will quickly have a look at the major writers of the post-independence era. We have all kinds of genres flourishing during this period. We have writers like Amitav Ghosh, B.R. Ambedkar, Anita Nair, Salman Rushdie, Bhavani Bhattacharya, Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, and many more novelists, short story writers, essays during this period. We have poets like G. Tail, who is from Kerala, Kamala Das, Dom Moraes, Dilip Chitre, and many other poets. Drama also started flourishing during this period. We have Mahesh Tatani, Girish Karnad, whose names cannot be forgotten when we talk about Indian writing in English. Now quickly looking at some of the themes in the post-independence era. One of the major themes was the identity crisis, especially during the partition of India, India as Hindustan and Pakistan. There were also caste issues which were addressed. We have a lot of Dalit writers who emerged in the post-independence era, who dealt with the caste issues. Gender issues also started playing a role in the post-independence works. We have the East-West conflict. The post-colonial themes started coming in. The multicultural themes, ecological concerns, magic realism, diasporic writings, all of these became prominent in the post-independence era. Now this is a basic introduction to the Indian writing in English. And I hope that this basic introduction will help you in the course as you move forward. Thank you.